You get the door. Are we on? Okay, we're good.
Good afternoon. We are here for the Wayne County Board of Elections meeting. First on our agenda, we are to approve today's agenda. If I could get a motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve today's agenda, please.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve today's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have absentee ballots, the tabulation, signing of results tape, and preparation and signing of the absentee abstract. Ms. Risky.
All right, so I just want to give you guys a couple of brief updates about today. There's just a few things that have come up. And then, can I get 5 copies of it? Yeah, thank you. So the first thing is that the voting has been extended in Sampson, Guilford, and Cabarrus County by 45 minutes. It doesn't affect our voting hours. We'll still close at 7:30 p.m., but it does affect when our results will be available. So I'll pull
Who did you say it was?
Sampson, Guilford, and Cabarrus.
So that would put it at 8:15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, approximately 8:15 is when our results would be available. So I know people will be antsy about that, but there's not much we can do about it. Polls have to close across the state before we can have results.
They had some electrical problems at the, was it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's something with their printers or something like that.
Sampson, Guilford, and what was the other?
Cabarrus. Then this morning started off great. We had small lines to start with. As of 10 a.m., we had 2,349 voters throughout the county. We've had a few issues with precinct officials already this morning, and we've asked 2 to go on ahead home instead of working the rest of the day at our polling places. And they become kind of personnel issues, so I'm not going to go into detail, but just know that it has to do with making sure that all of our voters are welcomed at the polling places and are given the same fair, equal treatment as other voters. And that's all that came to. A third decided to leave after being addressed. So we let 2 go. We had 1 leave voluntarily, and they won't be returning to work for us. We've had some complaints from voters about masks, things like that. There's some confusion with some of our precinct officials. We gave very clear training that masks were not required, but that issue has come up. We had 1 issue with electioneers up at Pikeville, and I think that's resolved itself. They've left. I'm not sure if they'll show back up at another polling place, but they're from outside of the county and aren't abiding by the 50-foot boundary. So that became quite adversarial, but we took care of it, and we hope that if they choose to do their polling exit interviews at other precincts in our county, that they abide by our 50-foot boundary, just like the rest of the election years are.
So the issue was going beyond the 50-foot.
Yeah. Yep. And that's pretty much it for today. It's really gone smooth and, relatively speaking. Of course, we only ever hear about the issues. So, but it looks like as of 2 p.m., we have 4504. So then I'll distribute that to you there as well.
Over 2,000.
Is this cumulative or what? Is this just for 2 p.m. or is it for the day?
4504?
Yeah, 4504.
2 p.m.
And we've already got 185 provisionals. I can tell you most of the provisionals are going to be people who aren't registered to vote. Those are the phone calls we're getting. Where can I register to vote?
You can't.
We always offer the provisional, so that's our fail-safe. We can always do the research and find out if they made an attempt at some point in time. And we'll make every effort to make sure that their vote gets counted if they made that effort to register. All right. Today, we're going to tabulate early voting and absentee by mail. We'll need to run all of the tapes over here. You guys will review the tapes, sign the tapes. The Maxwell Center has 2 drives. If you remember, we got to, I can't remember off the top of my head, 14,588. And we decided to change out the flash drive on it so that we didn't end up exceeding its capability in the middle of voting. So we have 2 flash drives for the Maxwell Center and 1 for all of our other early voting sites and 1 for our absentee by mail. Because our meeting is being streamed live, you guys will need to be careful not to speak the results. We are going to review the results, and then we'll print a report for you guys to transcribe onto the absentee abstract that you all can review and sign, and then I send that to the state board. But you just can't verbalize anything. So we'll do everything in silence.
Here or anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Until the
Alrighty.
results are out.
Yep. Ready? And we have Pam here from Print-Elect to help us with this. So.
Welcome, Pam.
Yep.
Does that mean we have to be silent?
No, just don't blur about the,
Oh, okay, because y'all look like y'all didn't want to say nothing ever no more.
little gun shy, I guess.
Yeah.
Is 2 PM the halfway point? Is that roughly?
Nah, we do it again at 4. We get numbers at 4, and then that's it for the day.
Okay. So it was 3.5 hours, then 4 hours, then it'd be 2 hours, and then it'd be 2.5 hours. Which I suspect that those last couple of hours will be
I can't hear you.
a little bit more. a
Well,
little bit
actually,
more
yeah,
volume.
around 3.5 hours, it goes to 7:30.
Do you guys need
3.5,
any
yeah.
help?
Yeah. And there may be quite a few that get in line.
After work, that's what I would expect.
Have we had very many absentee ballots brought in today?
Yes, yes. I've processed about 150 returns today, in person and the mail combined. And I suspect they'll be coming in all afternoon. Deadline is 5 p.m. for in-person returns here at the Board of Elections. We've also had a lot of military and overseas electronic returns today. It's definitely Election Day.
Yep.
And I do miss having Dane around to deal with the issues.
I'm sure. I miss it, I don't have to do what you do. So, I'm sure.
I don't enjoy being the issue person.
That was, what'd you get?
Smokehouse.
Ah, I got the
Okay, so
one with the bacon on
Bacon and turkey.
it. Yeah. Let me know how that one is. I might
That's
eat
the
that-
chicken and barbecue sauce, right?
Yeah, what it looks like.
I might eat that one for supper.
it's got barbecue sauce on it? Did you get a cookie today, Brian?
I did not. I did get I did get a scone and 2 cheese biscuits, so I'm not.
I love the
I didn't see
scones.
the cookies, all I saw was that cake.
you
I
know,
almost didn't see them, so they may have just.
Scones and coffee.
Because I just happened to see them.
maybe those were
Getting ready to walk
scones
away.
as well, I don't know.
No,
The little
scones
cheese.
are different now.
Oh, yeah.
But she has actually has a cookie there.
I don't know for sure, but
We've had Bojangles, McDonald's biscuits, Panera. There's no telling what's in there.
One, the ones in there were with the scones.
yesterday
or
was
whatever.
still some of the
They
pizza.
were really good.
Yesterday, some pizza.
Yeah, we had pizza too.
Today?
No, that was
Yesterday.
Saturday we had pizza.
But yesterday was some, it was still in there.
Yeah,
But,
It's amazing how you eat at work some
I
days.
know.
Because we eat all the time at school.
We just brought up all the one-stop machines and they all froze after they printed the configuration report. Do you have that issue?
Two left. Two cookies left.
Oh, this one.
I'm gonna go in there in a little bit and see if there's any more of those Bow Berry biscuits.
Well, three of
you
them
can have
now
mine.
have fixed them, well, now two of them have three. Yeah, well, we can't get to that point.
Who is it?
It won't take one of the addresses we're putting in back into one of the transfers.
Should I have to stick before I close them down and then bring them back up and then?
Look up the address they're giving, the voters giving them, and see if it's a different precinct than where you're calling.
Should I take the sticks out before I force the machine down because it's frozen? Because they always used to say, take the stick out before you force it down, but
Told them of it.
yes, yes, yes. Three of them came to life, but it's because I told him to cancel printing because it thinks it's printing a configuration report. But it finished the report and it says
anytime
end
you
of
go
report
slow,
on the tape. but
There's always some teaching.
They're not, oh, wait, okay. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, that might be,
Fall
because
back
they
on
all
you,
came
yeah.
back to life.
Sometimes I'm like,
Okay, we're good.
why am I in charge of this? Wait a minute.
What was I thinking?
No, they're.
Bell tower looking mighty good right now.
I'm not sure whether, it might have been in,
Yeah, my first
the
year out
screens might
I
just
was
be cold
administrator
and they
at
don't,
school,
you know what I'm
first
saying?
year. Well, first, one year, we had to move after that first year because of my mother's health, but, woo, when it all comes to you, and there ain't nobody to take it to. Bridget knows about that, though, don't you, Bridget? You're the administrator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you know about that. About, you're the top, there ain't nobody else to take it to.
Yeah, the button stops here.
Buck stops here.
We're good. They're closing the polls. It's just taking a little while for it to.
Say that again?
It's because there's so many votes on them, it takes a while.
But at the end of the month, your check is bigger than the month. You got to worry about your buck stopping.
That was my choice.
Right, right.
Scratched it in for it,
No, I
there you
forgot.
go.
I gotta do it before we go.
Yes. Oh, there was some joke about that, it was, like,
I didn't think it stood for anything, I thought it was just a S.
I think that might be right, I don't think it stood for anything. Just S, that's right.
The question was why he used it. Because it sounded more professional.
Harry S. Truman. Okay.
Since we're on those silly questions, what did the S stand for in George S. Patton?
Sherlock.
Who taught you that?
Listen, you read history, you learn all kinds of silly stuff.
This history here,
When you old as,
the one that said that somebody go from vote for Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Remember that story.
Go Gaston County.
let me tell you one thing, you better, my Granny Bryan lived down in Newton Grove, you better not say nothing about Franklin Roosevelt, she'd slap you winding. She sure would.
Well, I think while we're waiting for this, instead of waiting until after, I just do want to announce that we have 15 administrative challenges to early voting and absentee ballots. So we'll need to announce those today. We have 3 for the voter is deceased. We have 7 for voters who were adjudged guilty of a felony. And we have 5 for voters who had already voted. So administratively, we'll be challenging Sadie Neal, Tony Roberts, and Glenn Shaw on the basis that they are deceased. We'll be challenging Henry Earl Durham, George Randolph Sutton Jr., Troville Dante Blount, Stacy Pittman, Brittany Pamela Vaughn, Antonio L. Jones, and Juanita Moody on the basis that they were adjudged guilty of a felony and weren't eligible to cast a ballot in that election. And we'll be challenging Grover Cleveland Hargrove, Tony Ann Jordan, Barbara Jean Frazier, Candace Dion Jones, and William Earl Taylor on the basis that they cast 2 votes in this election. And so we'll send them all notice of our challenge with a hearing date set for canvass. And so they'll be able to come and
If they want to.
dispute it. Otherwise, some of them, the deceased voters, they were all absentee by mail ballots that were tabulated on September 29th, so we'll have to go back and retrieve. The felony convictions were all same-day registrations during early voting, so again, we'll have to go back and retrieve. The voter already voted. They they cast an absentee ballot and an early voting ballot. And so we'll need to go back and retrieve. In the case of 3 of them, we'll need to retrieve their early voting ballot. And then 2, we just are not going to approve their returned absentee ballot because we haven't actually tabulated them yet. So, any questions on those?
You said we'll hold a hearing in those, and I'm assuming that the people who died,
They won't be there.
they would have to show up alive.
That's correct, and we don't expect them to, so.
If they do, you'll have one less board member.
But we'll still send notice in the event, but our list maintenance with the deaths, we do that every month. So it's just a matter of timing. They turned in their absentee ballot and then passed away. You have to be alive by election day.
And you say y'all do it once a month. Do they contact you, or you just contact the county as far as?
Well, we do death certificates once a month, and then on
Do they send you a copy, or?
yes,
Okay.
we have death certificates.
The county sends you
The county of Wayne, and then we do on our intranet site, the state board's intranet site, we pull down death lists from around the state. So on a weekly basis, we pull those lists. So if you died outside of Wayne County, we have access to that as well.
So Andy, you said there were 3 due to death?
Mm-hmm.
How many are due to felon?
7,
And 5 from that voted twice?
correct. And election day is the last time that we can challenge, so anything that happens after this, We still turn it over, as far as if you're a felony, if you have a felony conviction and you vote, we still turn that over, but we can't retrieve the ballots on election day, so. Here we go, I hear printing.
It's because it's capturing the signature images for the
Gotcha.
write-in.
Okay, all right, okay. That's fine, we got time. We're, I don't know if you guys want to look at those while we're waiting. Just pass them around.
Notice she came this side this time.
I'm just used to going.
My plans exceeded.
Annie, would you mind just going back over how you're notified of, because I just think people ask this a lot. People
Right.
are often curious about it. So for the felony convictions, how are you guys notified of that information?
We pull lists every single day from, the State Board's intranet site, which comes directly from the Department of Corrections. So they're usually refreshed daily. We can see if you were convicted of a felony conviction last week. And then we have a normal list maintenance process where we send you notice, and you have 30 days to appeal, where we, after that 30-day period, we remove you. And so that's a daily process during early voting. The other time of the year, it's a weekly process. We do it once a week. Yeah. We do pretty serious list maintenance, based on, moving out of county, moving out of state. We get state notifications, we get county notifications. The state board does a lot of it for us, automated. If you have the exact same social and driver's license number and say you go register in Wake County, it will automatically remove you
Gotcha.
in our county. So that's a daily thing for us all year long. That's what we're doing.
People who vote twice,
Hmm.
is that reported to the state?
It is,
And if
yeah.
Are they the ones that deem whether they think it was on purpose or anything should be done?
Right. That's not up to us. Our job is just to determine that they did vote twice, and then we turn it over to the state board's investigations, and they do the investigations. I think what happened in this election, why we have so many, is misinformation. Because we're seeing a lot of people calling us and asking, do I need to vote? Have I already voted? Somebody called me and told me I needed to vote. Just a lot of misinformation, unfortunately.
That situation where the voter, which was a female, went curbside,
Uh-huh.
and her sister at the time, which was a husband, based on the situation, he said that he had already voted, but then somebody told him he had to vote again,
Right,
and so he went inside.
Right.
Because somebody filled out his ballot form at the house.
right.
And when he got to polling location, he went inside, because somebody told him he had to go inside, he voted again.
Exactly.
I told my wife, I said, like, let's say you got a relative, say you got an aunt who has Alzheimer's, and maybe one of their children takes them to vote, and they vote early. And then on election day, their neighbor comes over and says, hey, Jane, have you voted?
No.
Because they have Alzheimer's, they say, no, I don't remember. No, I haven't voted. Well, come on, I'll take you. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
2016, we were here with the other spot. I was getting ready to leave, walking out the door, very well-dressed lady, probably in her 40s. Didn't seem addled at all, and she came up and she asked the same question. She said, I voted absentee. And then she says, now, do I have to vote when November 3rd comes around?
Right.
And I said, "No, ma'am, you've already voted." Well, okay, I'm not sure if I believe what you told me,
Yeah.
but, well, okay.
Right.
You left. And we made a big mistake when we took civics out of the school curriculum.
So ELPS, civics, none of that is taught anymore?
Don't teach, we have a sort called government and
U.S. history. and
U.S.
world
history, world history.
Is it like an elective type thing or something? Gotcha. Wow.
Wayne,
that
Chri-
is unfortunate.
Wayne Christian is still required. They have to take government. And, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm gonna stay over here.
And put the second axis in there. The one that I put 10 inches, go ahead and do that.
Stop. A little bit. The who now? Uh-uh. Wow. I have heard of him, yeah. It's on a different exchange probably. Or, yeah. I have heard that gentleman's name. I think he runs Holly Bible Group or something. There's another. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They have a. I think they have a service similar to Amazon in Asia. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's on the big list. You know, up there with Buffett and Gates.
Ma'am? Well, it's never been.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
don't put any more out there than you're willing to walk away from. The, yeah. I was in law school when Facebook came out, and so I have cursed that, you know, ever since, because I mean it got down to like $18, and I think it trades for well over $200. And oh, did you? Mhm. Mhm. Number of. It bounced back, yeah. Yeah. Well, as, yeah. As much as I hate Facebook, there's no question that it's a profitable endeavor. That's kind of the problem. And it's not selling advertisement, it's selling you. That data mining and data collection. Big bucks.
Well, I'm curious as to how this one will work.
Southwest. I purchased some Southwest a few months ago, and it's done well. It's because of the whole.
Oh, that's just the initial.
That's the configuration.
I got surprised.
You're talking about back during the financial crisis. Yeah. Yeah, there were fortunes made and lost that year, for sure, on the stock market.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Told the kids today at school, I said, take a deep breath. Think about the weather, what the weather is today, what kind of weather it was. Around, see who your friends are in the class and stuff, because this is going to be a day that your history teachers 20 years from now will be teaching about, because this is a big day. Either way it goes, this is a big day. Oh, yeah, I've told them that many times, that the
I
whole,
had thought about writing at the end of the year, particularly with the baby on the way, just for posterity, but just sitting down and writing, because this has been a year running now. That's true, that's a good idea.
you know, Carol and I did, we were somewhere where they had a bunch of old Life magazines, and we bought one from the year and month we were both born, Life magazine. So we got one for the month and year she was born, the month and year I was born. We got one for her mother, the month and year she was born, gave it to her as a present. But they don't have anything.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't.
I have one of those for my mom and dad bought one for me too. Cause I think they were, I think they were still doing them in the 80s there.
Yeah, they were.
And,
We got one for our daughter for.
but I've tried all of my buddies, when they have a kid, I've tried to make sure I go buy, New York Times or a journal or something like that.
I keep, have since I can remember, I keep a journal.
Journal?
And when I put it up, I just stick it in a box somewhere. And here, I guess about 15 years ago, when word processing became popular, I took all the old handwritten journals and put them on word processing, and made it so much easier. Stuck in a book. But I tried to keep my each child. I try to keep a family history for each child up to the point of when they go off to school, off to college, with the understanding that now it's your responsibility to keep your own personal history.
That's true.
If you don't want to keep your personal history, it stopped right when you became a freshman in college. Ooh, that must have been a good sandwich. Got a couple of, out of the 4 children, I we've got two that
Turkey bacon broth.
have continued
That's
that
what I had.
tradition.
Well, I bet they're gonna have they'll all have a blast with those, journals, I'm
Yep,
sure.
one of these
one
days,
day.
their kids can look back and,
Yeah.
the reason I did that is, I found a journal written by my grandfather was one of the first to join the, Army during World War I, in Lincoln County. And he kept that, during the war, kept it a little bit after the war, and he got stuck somewhere and forgotten about. Well, when he passed away, they were going through all these papers, and believe it or not, a couple of my relatives were in the process of throwing it away. And I went berserk, you know? I said, let me have all those, and I'll keep what's germane and what isn't.
That's amazing.
It's nice having letters. He actually had a couple letters from his father, who had written to his father during the Civil War.
Wow.
And some of those letters, to save paper, or maybe postage to save paper, they would write, and they would leave enough space between the lines for you to respond. See, he'd write to his, and one of them that really touched my heart was his father, who was a Lutheran minister, was writing to his son who was in the Civil War, and he was telling him to stand firm in the faith. Now, I don't know if it was in the faith of God or if it was in the faith of his, he didn't specify. But then, in the spot for him to respond was he wrote between the lines, and I guess the term "read between the lines" may be something that originated during that time
Very
period.
well could have been.
But I kept those, and the spelling was unique. Because his father was from his father was from Germany.
Gotcha.
So some of the spelling you could discern what it meant, but it wasn't in good English.
It was phonetic, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, spelling has evolved too.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Like
particularly
that.
in English, particularly in English. Well, I
Yeah,
had a
that's what I
very,
mean.
yeah, I had a similar story that popped up not too many years ago, but we were cleaning out the attic, and come across a shoebox of postcards
Yeah.
that were sent between my grandmother and her all various sisters and cousins, and man, that was fantastic.
Fun to read, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, that's one of the. I have all of them in a case. I've scanned them all in.
Yeah.
We.
Being able to scan is something that's new, see?
Yeah.
I had to type
That
out
one.
stuff in my word processor, or it's when Word Perfect was first.
Sure.
And we're gonna get the report for them to do the
A
abstract.
few months, so I put that in my,
Okay.
and I can just make a copy of it for the.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that stood out the most to me in
Still
all
waiting.
this was
We got another one to
it
do.
was someone writing to my grandmother. My grandmother had moved off for a time when she first got married, and it was just talking about how boring
We're here.
life was, just how
I do.
slow. And it was just, because that's kind of like you would think it would be slow back then, but to hear them acknowledge that, yeah, it's pretty slow. There's just nothing going on, on the farm.
No,
That
it's
was
just a
it.
There were
different
two
drive.
sticks that had
I love those
one
postcards.
down.
Okay, so
One,
it's just calculate, okay.
One thing that's really,
Capturing the images.
There's 16 to 17,000.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how many write.
my grandfather had a favorite mule that he used when he was a boy, he plowed with once
You're just gonna see a total.
he went off
Not
to
a
war.
name.
Things started to change around the homestead. But the thing is, now this was his dad. But the horse had a tendency to step out of the line and hit some of the things that were being planted in. And when Grandpa got back to the war, that mule was still around. Well, he had a younger brother, 2 years
Taking a
older.
break because nobody can find me in here.
That horse, they had open pit mica mines and that mule tripped and fell in one of those open pit mines. And so Grandpa had the dubious choice of going and telling his dad
Is this the Lutheran ministry?
about, huh?
Grandpa the Lutheran?
Yes.
Okay.
And going and telling,
This thing you know I'm paying attention.
telling his dad that the mule had tripped and fallen in that mica mine and died and was killed. And he said, his dad came out and surveyed the situation and followed it. And he said, I always liked that mule. But he said, you see how considerate that mule is? He tripped and fell, but he was able to take all the harness off him. Grandpa forgot, he took the harness off the stupid mule. So, he said, how considerate that mule was.
Took all this stuff off.
Took all the harness.
And then he fell.
Then he fell down.
Buried himself too, it sounds like.
They buried him. So Grandpa did the smart thing. He blamed his younger brother, Uncle Cecil, and Uncle Cecil, to the dying day, he denied.
I know what that is.
The magical red bag.
That's it. That's the first one of the year, of the night.
That's our absentee by mail.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Until we get supplementals on the 12th. And we'll add to it.
well, we're still waiting for some of them to come in anyway.
Yeah, up until the 12th.
Did we run out of ink?
It's thinking. It's like me, it's very tired. No, I'm just kidding. Or hand sanitizer.
Or cleaner.
Yeah. Just don't sniff it, just don't
Yeah,
sniff it.
please don't. Strong.
Some of our smaller sites have had lines today. And we've had some complaints about those lines, specifically Fremont, but they can vote, 4 voters at a time. And that's just the way it is with the COVID-19 restrictions. And the square footage calculator that we had to use. So, again, I just, we had 17 days of early voting. We had 2 months of absentee by mail voting. So I'm sorry that you have to wait in line today, but
Do we have the 2 o'clock recap?
yeah. Is it there? Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's 2.
Thank you, buddy.
I would, yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Well, we have a duty to try to, as you said, provide a place where they can go and vote and vote as quickly as possible. But voters also have a duty,
Right.
They have a duty to see that we have 17 days of early voting.
Right.
We have absentee ballot, and
Right.
we warned them that you could face long delays. So they have a responsibility to, if they
Yeah.
choose to go on election day, then they may, as we said before, you may have to wait.
Right. And us moving furniture to fit more booths into a polling place when the square footage tells us we can only have so many is not,
Right.
that's not a responsible decision, so.
Well, Precinct 3 double their votes. They also double their provisionals.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of no record of registration, which is typical. I mean, that's just standard on election day. Again, we had 17 days of early voting where you could same-day register.
I would,
So,
I'd also point out, looks like the 2 that we combined, 1920 and 2530, look to be pretty more than
Yeah,
more than comfortable there.
Yeah,
Yep.
Don't look like it's too many.
yep.
One down in Grantham got the most still.
Grantham's pumping it out.
That's typical.
Yeah, I think they typically hold the record, right, for, most
Grantham-
highest turnout on election day.
Percentage-wise, Grantham's usually our highest, election day.
Was that 15?
24.
15 is Seven Springs, they usually, and Indian Springs is 28, they usually have high election day turnout too.
I live right down the road from the fire station, and I went by there this morning, 7:15, it was no line.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious as to how, it must be fairly evened out throughout the day, because, yeah, I would have expected there to be a line
When we get
this
done,
morning.
when we get done here, I'm gonna go by there.
Yeah.
again.
Well, we're using their fire bay.
Right.
The fire chief was very, very accommodating, and I think they've moved them all. Every fire truck. and it's a
How
large-
many vote booths were we able to get in there?
Well, we sent 9 or 10 to everybody, that's our standard. We don't, I mean, at a certain point, you kind of max out what you can manage, but.
Gotcha. I didn't know as far as the
Their
distancing requirement.
occupancy, I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty high, but it worked pretty well.
Great.
So we're using the bays.
They usually vote in a room,
Right.
their meeting room.
Right, I voted.
And almost all of our fire departments did that for us this year.
Good,
Only had one that wouldn't let us do that.
yeah. Overall, it's a lot of cooperation.
Yeah.
And, even the Maxwell Center, once they got the message.
Yeah.
It was gonna happen.
And I think we've got a foot in the door, we don't wanna close that door.
I've heard just great feedback from voters
Yeah.
and candidates and just the
It's
community
just
in
a
general.
no-brainer. I mean, it
I
really is a
know.
no-brainer.
I know.
Well, but they
Yeah.
do have a point, that is usually their busiest month.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, you know.
Well, and perhaps, yeah.
You know, some of those events might get shifted. If they told people that they were gonna reserve the last, normally it would be like the last 10 days of October or something like that.
It's
Right.
gonna be 17. It's 17 days now.
From now on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it'd be basically,
It's about,
well, it depends on when election day is, but it
Yeah.
could be either like this year, 2 weeks worth in October, or,
mm-hmm.
you know, a week's worth. But if they plan to always use the first 2 weeks for their events, and then you,
Well, and the addition of Bear Creek may be a more appropriate permanent addition.
Right.
You know, if they're interested, if they're open to that.
Right. And, you know, if COVID's gonna hang around, we might need to reconsider voting at the library.
I think we're gonna wind up with COVID. It's gonna be like, you're gonna get a flu shot every year and a COVID shot every year.
Yeah,
It's just not gonna, you're not gonna wipe it out.
right. I know. Maybe. Mhm.
But we
Maybe a-
definitely don't wanna close the library.
Maybe a bigger location, if we could find a larger, like a gymnasium or something in the same area.
But
Or if there's like a vacant.
Yeah, right, commercial building.
Yeah, commercial building.
Mhm.
Well, I think
Yeah.
by the time we got an election 2 years from now, we'll have a vaccine. And we'll have enough people taking it that, we'll be able to kind of treat it more like the flu. I think we'll be able to go back more to normal.
I do appreciate like the library. I mean, they pretty much couldn't conduct any of their business for that period. There was just no parking. So we do appreciate their contribution. We had great help from the Department or the Office of Emergency Services here in Wayne County and the State Office of Emergency Services. They did a lot for me. The county manager did a lot for me, the finance department. Just a lot of different people really helped out in this. So we really appreciate all their assistance. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of people, but I'll remember on a day where I have more sleep.
Well, luckily, most people see the importance, relevance of voting.
Yeah,
Also, you were quite diplomatic in how you approached a couple of
yeah,
problems that in the past gave us a hard time
yeah,
because it wasn't done very diplomatically.
yeah,
So there's a lot of it is, a lot of it's salesmanship, yes, but a lot of it is the fact that you know it's coming, and you know you got the hammer.
right,
So do I take my lumps one at a time, or do I
yeah.
be nice about it?
Facilities, services, the IT department, they all just were really available whenever I needed anything. I could just pick up the phone and call them, and they'd help me out with whatever I needed, so that was great. That was one good thing about this election was the teamwork and the people realizing that this was quite the feat in the middle of a pandemic, so,
Yeah, well, I think as a whole, our whole country realized that.
yeah,
And election boards everywhere realize it, you know, and, you know, I just hope that, I hope and continue to hope and pray that, the rest of the day goes well, North Carolina comes out of it well, but I hope the whole nation does too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been very, pleased that we've not really heard of a whole lot
yeah,
of issues anywhere
right.
across the country.
A lot of the things that, they predicted for us to happen, voters fighting about wearing masks and things like
Yeah,
that.
it just never materialized.
Voters being angry about waiting in line, it just never materialized, so.
And it's better to be prepared
Right,
and it not happen until it can happen.
right, right.
And then, the day's not over, sometimes the sun, the streets come out at night.
Yep,
It ain't over till it's over.
I mean, pardon me, but.
true,
people
right,
feel, when you're doing dirt, you prefer to do it in the dark.
yeah. And it gets dark early down, so.
Administrators know how that kind of thing works, right?
She got a point. One of the things,
Yeah, no, we're, yeah,
one of the things I think we really need to look at is how we can, the library is a symbol of, calm. Going in, quiet, relaxing, gathering your information, doing your research, and, coming up with something, but every 2, 3, 4 years or so, it becomes a battleground, which is
Yeah.
direct opposition to what it stands for,
Yeah.
what it's there for. And, and we get associated with that.
right,
And so
right,
I'm in the opinion that we need to do, either fix the behavior of the people at that and every other location that's advocating for that candidate. Or we move all of that negative activity away from that particular site. Because then the library, just by association, gets lumped into that
right,
over time. And people don't go to the library
Right.
because an incident happened on that ground
right,
that they had absolutely nothing to do with.
right. And she's so kind and generous, she's always thankful of us, and we feel horrible the entire time, because we see what's happening to her facility, and then she comes and tells us, thank you, and I'm so sorry you're having to go through that. I'm like,
Think about it, we haven't been there, because we didn't do our business, just think about it. In the middle of a pandemic, our children are virtually learning,
right,
so they go to the library
uh-huh,
in order to get the resources they need to be competitive in an unusual learning environment. So let's think about that mom that's got that child by the hand walking to the library.
can't find a
And they
parking
hear
spot,
grown-
right,
Not to mention they can't find
yeah,
parking. But then they hear grown people yelling back and forth at each other.
yep,
Stupid nonsense, okay? And the little child is looking up at mama like, what type of behavior is this being conducted on the grounds of the library?
But if you've ever done sports with children,
In
And
the
I've
first
done-
year,
I've done it for almost 50 years. And you thank God for the little children, and then you hope and pray that they ignore their parents.
That's right.
You know, I just thought of somewhere that's right downtown that might be, you said a gym, right?
Yeah, like a
The
gymnasium.
Presbyterian Church.
Mhm.
You look at that Presbyterian Church, that right side over there is a gym.
Is it?
They have a daycare though, so that would be
Oh.
something we have to figure out.
What about the,
But we could,
I mean, it's possible. We've done it before.
that's a big open area. They got a big parking area and it's right close to the library where people,
Cross street.
yeah.
I went to kindergarten there.
And I was thinking about the Herman Park Center, but I know they're going to tear that.
Mm-hmm.
I have,
They could, you know.
security is a little difficult there.
what about the
There's a
mall?
lot of,
The what?
Like the mall, Sears, the old Sears or anything like that?
Yeah,
That's plenty of parking and.
plenty of parking.
Yeah.
You can't count on that for
That's true too.
years.
But if we can't Bear Creek,
That's what I was thinking about the Presbyterian Church right there.
right.
And I still think that foolishness can be stopped. You know, you just have to have the right forces in place to stop it. And not only stop it, but to prevent it, you know?
Yeah.
There's a way to stop foolishness. I don't care what they're, you know, there are times that, you know, people don't, or they allow folks to do what they do, but foolishness can be stopped.
You stop it
Prevented. It can be prevented.
with consequences. You stop it with consequences. I know that-
And
not
you
constant.
stop it with reinforcement.
That's good. I agree with both.
Proper reinforcement.
Right.
I agree with both schools of thought, because if we remember, when we first started this thing back in September, we were briefed on a situation and we were told we couldn't comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, therein lies the problem. We have to have reasonable people who are also engaging other reasonable people to carry out these activities. Because what you have is people who are doing things simply for the personal gain, so they could care less about their behavior and other people's behavior because they're getting
Yeah.
paid. So we have to
Yep.
get the people who are gathering these folks and make it very severe for those folks based on the behavior of others that they're responsible for, and you'll see a change.
They're hiring.
Exactly.
And you could just not have them. Do you have to have elections?
You have any
That's
You
choice.
have to
another-
allow for
You
them.
don't have any
Yeah,
choice.
that's what I'm
Church
saying.
statute says yes,
You
but,
don't have any
but
choice.
one of the things that happened, we've had candidates on both sides
You have to have as many as you have.
see these folks
No.
conduct like that, their activity. And so I think some of these candidates, if they get to Raleigh, we're going to put some stuff in play, or at least talk to their colleagues and say, look, we don't need this. Because all of us are painted with that broad brush based on behavior. You know, stuff happens in Charlotte with election years, and all of us down the line, you know, get somewhat attached to that in a negative way because it's during the election season. So again, I'm of the opinion that when people come to the polling site, they already made up their mind. The election doesn't have any, you know, reasonable effect on that person.
Very few people.
Yeah, exactly. They
Did you
don't-
enter my office?
Yeah, I'm going there because I know what I want to do. I'm not going there to ask you what I should do.
Well, now I quit counting, of course, but I have a phone that reminds me 5 or 6 times a day that tomorrow is voting day. Have you voted? One time, I said, my family and I, and my 7 friends, we voted the second day early voting if possible.
Do not
And I
text me
sent,
again.
right, and I sent it forward. That's a waste of my time, because I get it and same, down on the soapbox, another thing is, the warranty on my car. The warranty on my car, I have received the final notification on that warranty 9 or 10 times.
You go extend the warranty, that's what they want you to do, extend the
Extend
warranty.
the warranty.
Yeah, me too.
Same problem.
Yeah, yeah. My warranty's been expired 3 or 4 years, and they keep sending me notices.
Right.
Yo,
It's coming soon.
Unfortunately, I lied one time when I said, no, I sold those cars 2 years ago. But somehow they were able to go back and check and find out that that car was still registered in my name, which is a violation of my civil rights.
Yeah.
And
Somebody sold that list.
yeah, whoever sold that list to them,
And it would probably be helpful also if you didn't have 10 people for one handy.
Right,
You know, if you had one per,
right.
for each,
Instead of teams,
then it's
yeah.
hard for some people to bicker and to create problems when they're by themselves.
But then they're
So
gonna
if
say,
it's just one, you know, of course, they could still have issues with each other, but it's gonna be much less likely if you have one representative for this candidate and one for this one and one for this one, as opposed to having 5 for this one and 10 for this one.
yeah.
And 3 for this one. And 15 who can just walk up at any point in time and start handing out, elections.
That could almost be voter intimidation too.
yeah,
So
based on,
if there's one per,
based on the number of precincts you have in your district, that's the number of election districts you have.
but when you got 4 or 5 early voting sites, then they all tend to
Yeah, but that's what.
congregate.
We've been, you
but
know,
it'd still be better if you only have one representative. So
Yeah,
They're,
yeah.
on different- they're kind of on different teams.
that's
but-
right. That's what we, well, I know I did, got, you know, I got praised on one hand because we selected Maxwell Center and, Factory. Then got mad at us on the other hand, because now in their minds, now there's this total additional election years they gotta hire.
Oh, yeah, the candidates don't, generally, they don't like, some of them don't like that extended, the extended early voting, because they feel like they gotta be out there, you know, that,
I love when they tell us, when you say, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm just so tired. I'm like, oh, okay.
You don't wanna know, Tyler.
Right. Just keep
they-
walking.
They don't have to be out there.
I don't wanna kick on our electioneers too much, but, I didn't have a name tag on, so I was a board election, I was just a voter. And I talked to this individual, about the material he was handing out. And I said to me, I said, oh, I don't know anything about this guy. I said, can you tell me about him? Correct response. Well, I don't really know. They just gave me $10 an hour to hand these things out. And I said, well,
Wow.
you know, okay. To me, to him, it was a job. And he was handing it out,
Exactly.
but he knew nothing about the person that he was handing it out for, or what that person stood for. And I wasn't going to embarrass him, I wasn't going to, I just said, well, okay, I'll go ahead on then. And by the way, that was at the Maxwell Center.
Yeah.
See, they thought you were a Lutheran pastor when you walked up.
No, I'm Episcopalian. I never learned to speak Latin.
So, we not messing with him, he got a glove on him.
Yep.
I had the exact opposite experience when I went to those, they just ran away from me, I was like, what?
Me too. You're like, uh-oh.
Well, I think a couple of them recognized me because they wanted to share some things that was going on, and I said, I'm not really at liberty to be involved in that. And so they walked away. But one actually, the one that Nick got onto actually came up to me and called me by my rank, and said, and told me what went on. I said, well, he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
Be glad he did it instead of me.
My email is full of complaints from one against the other. It's just nonsense.
Like roaches when I came in.
Yeah.
Dispersed, this,
I don't think they know me.
they just ran it, you know, I'm like, okay.
I will say anytime I got a complaint, where they alleged that they felt threatened, I told them to call the police. But as far as the silly, so-and-so sat by me, like, I can't
And I
tell
felt like
that.
a middle school teacher.
Right,
Such and such said I couldn't go inside, go use the bathroom.
right.
I did on the sidewalk. Then got in trouble with the principal.
Yeah, the bathrooms, my goodness.
No, you grown, you gotta go use the bathroom, go use the bathroom.
But you can't go through the
But you
polling
can't go
enclosure
inside,
to do
so you need to
it.
make arrangements to go do something else. I mean, God.
Trouble is, most of these people know that. They-
Right,
they-
right,
they-
right.
They just wanna test the waters.
Get in your car, 'cause
Yeah,
you're right.
if you're a candidate and you have 10 people out there, you ought to provide a toilet.
I think it's 60, not 10, I think.
This thing's still, is this the big one? Really? Okay. Yeah, this is the big one from the Maxwell Center.
Well, that's all I need to know, part of me, here I go.
It's doing what it needs to do. It's imaging all the write-ins, and it just takes a while.
Well, I think.
Come on, Rick,
Bo
let's go.
Bear- Bo Bear Biscuit. I think Bo Bear Biscuit is calling. Yeah, put it in that microwave for about 15 seconds.
Are you kidding?
Trying to remember, I think it's the one out on the church, on the left-hand side, going on the 70 bypass out toward the old 70.
New Hope Friends,
No, going west, going west.
towards Rosewood,
Yeah, out by Rosewood.
Westwood.
Westwood. All the different precincts, that precinct can really prepare,
He does, yeah.
that precinct can prepare good food.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Will you
I
go check
forget
on
what-
them and make sure that there's nothing that we need to deal with while we're waiting?
Would you say something to me, Ms. Cowan? Would you
She
speak to
said
me?
you know the area really good.
Oh,
You know,
living
you
here
get around pretty good.
most of your life, plus doing geocode.
Oh, you want me to remind you about that list I asked you
Yeah, I thought about it twice today, but
Okay.
other things happen.
for? Gotcha.
It might be next week, is that okay?
It's fine, as long as I can file it away in my notebook.
You ever talk to Doug in?
I saw him down in Mount Olive a few months ago.
Get me a little more of that coffee.
Any more the rest of the day after this.
Could be, could be.
Based on what I heard, before I left home, North Carolina, anybody's call.
Apparently, a lot of people are calling about that Facebook stuff. But they had like eight.
Oh, mercy.
We're verifying. Are they telling them where they can?
But we have not made a national news for anything negative, so that's good. That's right.
I keep checking the news app on my phone. I was watching WRAL this morning at 7 o'clock. I was like, all right, hopefully there's nothing on there about Wayne County.
My wife got mad at me because I wouldn't go to bed until the Dixonville people up
Oh, the Dixville Knox.
yeah, the Dixonville Knox people did their thing
What?
at midnight.
In New Hampshire.
New Hampshire at midnight.
Oh, that's right.
Dixonville and Maynardville or whatever.
Yeah.
Maynardville people didn't do it this year for COVID concern.
They vote right there.
Right at 12 o'clock, yeah.
Well, I went to bed on time, but 4 o'clock came, I woke up, had to go to the bathroom, laid back down. I couldn't go back to sleep. I had the lecture a little bit on my mind, but I had something at school I had to deal with. I laid there till 5 o'clock, never went back to sleep. I said, I'm getting up. I got up and made some extra strong coffee and just did my usual thing till I went on into school.
When the wife gets up,
I feel like such a weirdo with two phones. I'm over here texting on one phone, emailing. I never wanted to be that person.
so she get the full time.
Sneak is with us for a while, yeah. Did you find something else? Yep. I couldn't, I mean, she helped me so much with that since she's been around.
But see, I mean, that's why I asked, I said,
Hello.
that's why I said, that, you couldn't what the development piece in it, and she's growing, I mean, boom.
She has like exquisite attention to detail, so wherever she lands after this, if you're lucky, she,
Did you have two election specials?
remember, we're gonna, consolidate, we don't,
No.
and she's getting,
She got
working
some
on her
issues,
master's
yeah.
and something else.
Yeah. So just hard to find good help.
Well, I tell you what, when you really get right down to it, what staff is doing here, you think about what's important work. This is important work.
Man, I mean, look, I ain't saying that this girl should spend it. It's a reflection of how well Eddie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It's all based on leadership.
Because everybody, well, it's true, but she got less than 90 days in road fishing.
Yeah.
But all of the employees did it her pay,
Oh, yeah.
not names.
Yeah.
No, right.
So she has directly and indirectly developed them to the degree that they are as
Yeah.
efficient as one could think they would be with the kind of experience that they've had on the job. That's the regular question. Period, without even.
They're all great.
Yeah, I tell you.
Which makes it easier for you to
It
train.
does, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to stand over them and, constantly, they watch you, they listen, and then they take the initiative to do what they need to do. And, it's hard to find talent like that.
And part of it too
sell wine. So you can forget about the name.
Oh, I know what you mean. And you just a young person. You just wait to,
She ain't nothing but a baby.
and I'm telling you, I get up, I'm sitting there a while in my easy chair, I get up, I'm going, oh, everything
Every
hurt.
time I get up,
Yeah, that arthritis starts kicking in, boy. Mm.
And the other thing about leaders is that if you have, whatever you represent, that's what the people are calling you gonna do. At least some of them anyway. So, and this is good, and this is high expectations, and they know that when you do. If you're crap, you teach them to do crap, and if you're good, you teach them to do good. And you're gonna always have those who don't quite follow the pattern, every now and then, depending on who's leading, but for the most part, they'll do what they do.
Been a good hire from the beginning.
Right.
I'm obviously not good at mistakes.
Yeah.
I just see tape on the wall. What happened?
Here.
That ain't your thing.
Well, but see, the thing was, you knew you weren't that great with the technology, so, but you were wise enough to get people who are.
That's right.
That's right. That's the other thing about good leaders.
That's the thing.
I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just need to know who the smart people are. That's it.
And put them in the right spot.
That's right.
Just put them in the right spot.
Yeah. Oh. I started doing it and then,
You want it rolled or folded?
folded, please. I'll be right back.
Oh, good. We sat there long enough, I kinda lost track of what we were waiting on. I was like, hey, what are we waiting on?
Yeah, we'll still be here till the 12th. Like, ain't you been up? No, I've been there ever since the 3rd. But I really got my friend last night. We texted, said, where you at? I said, Lord, relax. He said, I ain't gonna be here until tomorrow. He's like, y'all spending the night.
I thought about it a few times.
I think we're gonna hit close to 10,000.
We had, what
Today?
was it, 45 at,
45 at 2.
we get another count at 4, then I take it.
I don't think we're gonna get it.
If we hit, and so if we did 10, what would that put our turnout at?
It was
55,000.
10,000 and we ended up at 46.
Yeah,
50,
look, right.
something like that.
Yeah.
So like 10.5 would get us to about 75,
Okay.
something like that.
And that's great.
That's
Yeah.
what they, the,
Oh,
like,
that's,
power, the like, prognosticators or something like, professors and stuff, that's what they.
Gotcha. I saw $1 million was what was a headline on WRL they were thinking of me. So that's a little bit more than what I was thinking. Yeah,
Statewide.
yeah. That's a little bit more than what I was thinking.
they're thinking nationally, as far as the percentage of voters, it's gonna break the record, which was in 1908.
Well, anything north of 62% is gonna be all right.
Well, it was, whatever the record was 1908.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, that was, Williams Jennings Bryan was in that election, and I'm related to him. My mother is a Bryan, and we traced it back. I'm related to it.
That's why you're so smart.
That's right, see, you know.
Yeah, I think if we get close to 70% nationwide, because the last, 2008, we were like 62.9, something like that. That's Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And, and then we right been at 61, 60%, thereabouts since. So,
Well, participation is a good thing. Teaching history. Teaching history, one of the things I emphasize to the students. As long as people feel like they have a say-so in their government, that keeps, like, anarchy and revolution at bay. You don't have to feel like, when people don't feel like they have a say so in anything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You don't feel like you got a say so in anything, and you don't count.
And the system's not working, and then people try to go outside the system, yeah, no, I agree.
Get you back at your alma mater.
And then for that, they just sign the report.
That's all you get.
Dane Beavers is not walking through that door.
What?
We just gonna have to do it
Well,
as a team. Because Larry Bird and Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish are not walking through that door. That's what Rick Pitino said to the Celtics. Rick Pitino, when they were struggling, when he was there, he goes,
They ain't here no more.
no,
They're gone.
they're not walking through that door.
It's up to you.
That's right.
All right, so I'm gonna start passing the tapes. And then the report. So from the 450, we don't get a tape, we get a report. And then from all the other machines, you get a tape. So all of the tapes require all of your signatures. And then for the abstract, they're gonna go import the sticks and get us a compiled report. Simpler to do the abstract, so.
Okay, here we go.
So, and then on the abstract, it'll be easier for you guys
Okay.
to see orders.
Now, wait a minute. Then we had to, well, I went to that thing, you're right. Yeah. Right now, all we need to do is sign. So this is too big to be unfolded like you got it already.
That's a lot of people.
Jim Hall,
Yes, sir.
how are you doing? Thank you. I put that right down when you said, all right.
Don't unravel it.
Yeah, I ain't, I'm just saying.
It's a lot of rambling.
There you go.
You crazy. You know, like you're so slick when you come. I'm tired, and I know you are, because I know you're busy. And I laugh because I'm just so sleepy when I get midway of the day. I'm just so burned out. And it depends on what I have for lunch. That doesn't help some days.
no, that's my,
When
that,
we go to B and G, we can get chicken pastry or
that really is my problem.
every meal.
I need to switch pens, because this thing will bleed all over the place.
All right.
Yeah, I have the same problem, and not only that, but, I drink too much caffeine, and then it just robs me of sleep at night, and I'll wake up halfway through the night, won't be able to go back to sleep. But that's self-inflicted, I suppose.
Now, if your baby's a little girl, I hope you don't name her Caffeine.
You know what, that's cute, what's the name, caffeine?
Caffeine.
Oh, that's pretty.
Kathleen?
Being
No,
raised, being,
Yeah. Well, what's his middle name? Maxwell.
On this one, I guess.
being robbed of sleep.
Maxwell House.
This is from the 450.
Mr. Folgers.
And so we'll just do at the end.
Ooh, treat you there, son.
This sounded anywhere on the sheet?
At the end.
Yeah, back page, down at the bottom.
Yep.
That's probably, that looks like the better way to do it right there. Yeah.
What?
The roll up, right? Now, what is this one here?
Tabulate.
Tabular, okay.
Yeah, it's the big 450.
The absentee ballots, right?
Yep.
Drum roll, please. When the guys come from the warehouse, they push them out that door right there. When the guys come from the warehouse, they push them back to the road out that door. Or they go.
You gotta go down those stairs to do that.
No, they go up the
That
front.
front door's better. A little easier to.
Yeah.
What's up? Okay. Why did we put the people, what do you mean people? Mhm.
I got behind the school bus today. Brought back some very pleasant memories. The bus dropped off, this little fella had his backpack on him, in the back. We would start to walk to his house, 50 yards. About halfway there, he turned around toward the bus. And I guess the bus driver, he waved at the bus driver by. He went on down the road.
I already know what you're going to do.
Huh?
Go ahead, finish.
He went on down the road. The
I can't.
bus went on down the road, and same scenario. Bus driver stopped. This time, a little girl got off the bus. And just cute as she could be, she walked in. But this time, when she got off the bus, she turned around and she waved by. He went one way, and I went that way. But little girls getting on the bus and.
Well, I had some memories on bus too. I was a school bus driver in 1972, 73. And, that was quite an experience. It wasn't bad at all, but when we were in school bus drivers training, one of the main things they told you was don't swerve to miss an animal. Just run over. Just run over.
You got a bus, when you got a school bus, you can do that easily.
But he said that we've been trained, he said we've been always training everybody to do that. He said a few years ago, we got a call about a bus stuck out in the middle of a field. He said, we went out there and the bus driver was standing there and he said, I walked up to him and I said, what happened? He said, I got him. I had to drive halfway across this field and all around, but I got that dog. He didn't get away from me.
He took it literally.
He took it literally. He drove all over that field to get
He
that
said,
dog.
I'm running over that dog.
I got him.
I got him.
I thought you were gonna say when he got off the bus, he gave you the finger, or gave whoever was driving the bus driver.
Oh, no.
I rode a bus one year, well, I rode several buses because of discipline issues on the buses. And I rode on this particular bus, and it was about an hour and a half ride, and I was like, and I was out in the North Wayne area, so, you know, the country, the longer the ride. And, when the kid got off the bus, he waved, and then he threw his finger up, you know, he was backing up,
Oh, my God.
throwing up his finger, and I knew he was doing it to me, because he was already in trouble. I just, it irritates you, because you wanna grab him right there,
Yeah,
but I was
sure.
on the bus, he was going to the house. I got that joker the next day, I called him to my office, and he didn't have a thing to say. I said, I got to put that joker off that bus for 5 days, I should've done 10, but I just wanted him to know I was coming after him, and they knew that about me. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know what he was thinking, but, anyway,
These little fellows were waving at the bus driver.
yeah, but he, you have to meet kids where they are,
Well, I know.
And he got better as he went on. He ended up being a decent little kid. He was cool anyway. I just love kids. I just think they're the coolest people in the
East
world.
Wayne High School, the first year they had ninth
know,
grade
so-
at East Wayne High School. We had this, kid in chief, well, you know the chief. He and I, we taught different days. I taught the academics and he taught leadership.
Mhm.
And after about the second, maybe third day of my class, I came in, I told Chief, I said, Chief, I don't think Antonio's going to make it. He said, why? I said, well, I'm probably going to kill him. And Chief Fitz said, no, Colonel, he said, you ain't going to do it. He said, I'm going to do it for you. So remember, he's a ninth grader. Well, by the time we got him, he graduated there. By the time that kid graduated, he was one of our top cadets, one of our top students. And finally, after I got to know the family, this young boy, Chief Fitch and I were the only male teachers that boy had his entire grade all the way up to the ninth grade. Now, we had his sister. She was 2 years older than what he was. She was a darling. She was just a jewel to have in the family. But I found out as the years went by, Junior's, he went by Junior. His mother was dying of cancer and died while he was in high school.
Mm.
And he was basically being raised by his grandmother.
Yeah.
And his father was just completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
And so Junior, we were the first males that he had a chance to relate to as teachers. And he simply didn't know what he saw on TV or whatever. He just, we had some rough times there for a while. He turned out to be one of the, he goes off to active duty, he goes in the Air Force. He was crazy about, her last name was Brown. He was just crazy about her. And she wouldn't have anything to do with him in high school. Well, after he gets through basic training, gets in the Air Force, she goes in that, in the Air Force. And a year or so later, they have a chance to be stationed, but they end up getting married.
Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. And, but he came back to, one of my requirements was, when you graduate, you go in the military, you don't, you're always welcome to come back to, to the class to see us. But if you go in the military, I expect you to wear your uniform, come back to class, and tell the students whether we lied to you or whether we didn't.
Right.
And he came back to class, and he had this medallion. He said, now this medallion is given to the best recruit who go through basic training. The number one recruit gets this medallion. Now, you can do certain things with it. And back when they had drinking pretty heavy, you could get a free drink in the bar. You did it on base, like at the NCO club. You get a free drink. But there's also something that you had that showed that you were a point of honor. And he told me, he said, now, I won this. And he said, it's mine. But he said, I want to give it. He said, I want to give it to you. He said, because when things really got tough, I'd remember some stupid little comment you made in class or something. And he said, it got me through. And he said, you're the one really, I said, Junior, nothing has ever been nicer said to me. But I said, son, you won that. That's yours. You wear it and keep it with pride. And the next year, this is before we had all this emailing stuff. And the next year, I got a Christmas card. Later it became me, but I got a Christmas card with a wedding announcement. And guess who his bride was going to be? Kisha had her name. Kisha Brown was his bride. And I thought, doggone, that's one of the few rewards for teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's always after
that's
they.
why you teach,
Yeah.
really, that makes it all worth it.
It sure does.
It's amazing what it does
Cause they,
when it comes back to you.
most of the time, they don't appreciate what you
Not
did
then.
until they're grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look
Then
back
they
and see-
appreciate it,
Yeah, point of reference.
But when they return,
yeah.
it's a whole nother ballgame.
He turned out to be a real success story.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It makes it all worth it.
We had a teacher out at Wayne Christian, she was old school. She taught 7th and 8th grade stuff. And she would chew on those kids and stuff, but she loved them to death, and all that. And every time a kid would come back, after they had graduated, they could be, 20 coming home from college, or they could be 30 with a family. They came to see Mrs. Wood. Always, I'm telling you, that was, she was the number one teacher that they came, because they knew she cared about them. She would talk to them.
The year before I retired, Charlotte, that's how she pronounced it, Charlotte. She says to me, Colonel, she said, he's going to be in your class next year. And I said, well, Charlotte, he's like you. He's just like me. I said, I'm retired. She said, you better not retire. I said, yeah, if he's just like you, Charlotte, I'm going to retire. It's funny, like you remember a lot of the good stuff, but also you remember a lot of those that don't make it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true, there.
But if we kept a cadet after 2 years, in 18 years out of it, if we kept a cadet after 2 years, didn't have a single one that didn't graduate. They all graduated. Our big turnover was after that first year, they just couldn't take the discipline, couldn't take the proper behavior requirements and the behavior that was expected, required. They'd drop out. There were only a lot of them, still good kids, but.
Yep.
I don't miss a lot of the teaching aspect of it, but I miss the kids.
The kids are the best part. They really are. They are the best part.
Are we waiting on anything that's specific? The 4 o'clock update, are they gonna run the tapes again at 4 o'clock?
Now we're waiting on them to put all of the races, all of them are on the roll,
I'm the abstract.
on the spreadsheet, so we can see it
Okay,
clearly, you know.
and when are they gonna finalize that?
That's what they're doing now.
They do it, yeah.
I'm gonna get something to drink. Can I get anybody anything?
I'm good.
So the 4 o'clock, you said something about 4 o'clock, I was trying to.
Yeah, that was the next update.
That's what we, with the numbers.
And then once we, you know,
And the final tally will be night after 8:15.
yeah, 8:15.
Our stuff will be at 7:30. Our stuff will be at 7:30, but 8:15 before they'll have any kind of a notification type aspect.
Yeah,
And
we're not until 8:15.
8:15. Boom. I'm gonna call my wife and see how she's doing.
So we're waiting on the overall results from,
Yeah, they're putting it all on one.
okay.
Anybody got an iPhone charger with them?
Oh.
Got the cable, but I don't have the
Yeah, the outlet, that's the problem.
charger.
Or the receptacle,
Got
whatever.
an iPhone, you got a charger with them? Okay.
Oh.
Figured the whole county doesn't wanna hear me clucking.
One person,
Those 3 people that are watching.
yeah. All right.
Our next official meeting though is Tuesday, isn't it?
No, Thursday. A week from Thursday.
And then Friday is the,
We just had a forum on Friday.
Applebee's is closing up 115 locations. I ain't surprised.
Who's that?
Applebee's.
Applebee's?
Applebee's. The last few times I've eaten there, it's just,
Yeah, I'm not sure how that hasn't happened before now.
that's what I'm saying.
It's been years since I've eaten at Applebee's.
And IHOP's closing some too.
You know, I've never eaten at IHOP. My daughter and her kids love IHOP. They come out here from Utah, and now all they want to do is, of course, it really upsets me because I don't get to fix breakfast.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say I'm more of a Waffle House guy myself, but
I like how I'm okay with long time breakfast is better.
yeah, I love Waffle House.
My-
That was from the college days of going about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
There's one in Lillington, and I had some buddies at Campbell, and, I'd go see, cause I went down Holland, so I wanted to get out of town, I either went and saw my state buddies or my Campbell buddies, and there was there was a Waffle House there in Lillington that we would frequent.
Does Mount Olive have dorms?
They do.
They do.
More, and a lot more than they used to. When I was there, they really only had like one wing. And they had just built a second. But now they have quite a bit. And they've purchased the old Comfort Inn or Sleep Inn. Okay. There was a hotel there behind the food line. And they bought that out and they converted that to dorm. They've been great. They've been a great little boost for now. It's like, a little building goes vacant in a couple months. It's got a Mount Olive College sign in front of it, so. Even a few houses too, some of the nicer, larger homes there in the downtown area, they've converted those into.
That's still a private school, though, right?
Yep, original Free Will Baptist. And I think it's one of the only schools of that denomination. I think, there's not many that are of the original Free Will Baptist, denomination. So they're kind of a niche.
Yeah, that's all things they're referring to. Yeah.
I dated a girl in high school who was Free Will Baptist. I couldn't tell much difference between her church and what they call the church, what we refer to as the Church of God, which was no makeup, very
Charismatic.
My child wins the award for best child.
Your daughter brought that to you?
17-year-old
Well, she should come and, we'd like to meet her. She's the best 17-year-old alive.
find out what she's up to.
I know.
That's right.
Her angle.
What does she want? What does she,
She's just a good girl. She likes to, she makes me feel so good the last 2 weeks. She cleans up my house, she's done some grocery shopping.
she your only child?
I have a 24-year-old who lives in Baltimore.
Okay.
And then I have Camille, she's 17. She goes to the school side of Mass.
Yeah.
She's old enough to know what you've gone through.
You're a
the last couple of weeks.
24-year-old boy or girl?
Girl.
Yeah, she's old enough to know the stress your mom's been under.
Yeah. Takes care of the dog. Did her first college application. Something, she wants to go to NYU.
NYU? Like, as in
Yeah.
Yeah,
New York City University? New York University?
that's
She's
big
really
bucks.
smart.
She gonna get a scholarship or?
She has the post 9/11 GI Bill,
Okay.
and she's really smart, so. She'll be able to do it if she gets in. That's what our competition is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be cream of the crop here, but. Right. Yeah.
we've not been in our new place very long, and I still have a lawn chair in my living room. I have a nice chair and a lawn chair. And, I may go buy another nice chair before I go home tonight. That's something, watch the result. My wife's pregnant, so of course, you know which chair I get.
Right.
They're not so comfortable.
Although, I will say, I have to make her get up out of the lawn chair, because she's a sweetheart, but I'm like, no, I'm not sitting in the nice one while my pregnant wife.
Yeah.
Sitting in the lawn
Yeah,
chair.
like the Archibald. Hey there. You comfortable over there?
Your number one job is to make sure that
Absolutely.
your
Whatever
wife
she
is happy.
needs.
That's right.
If she's happy, then you're successful, you'll be successful.
That was a rule before the baby came around, so,
I remember them nights running to food line or somewhere, getting god awful stuff at 11 o'clock at night. You really want this? Yes.
Is your baby, is a little girl or boy?
we're gonna, we don't know.
Wait and see.
So we're gonna let it be a surprise, I suppose.
Hey, I looked up 2016 results for Wayne County. And this is 2016. The total number of votes that was cast was 49,824.
Well, we damn sure done.
Yeah, we've already hit 46,600.
It's early voting alone.
600. Yeah. So Trump got 27,360. Clinton got 21,520.
What was, do you know what the election day number was? Do we have any idea of how many people turned out on election day?
I bet you if you call Dan, he can tell you.
Nicholas said it was usually about 15,000.
15,000?
That's what I heard him say, about 15,000 on election day. And he said he was hoping for 10,000 or less today. So,
Just because early voting was so heavy.
On both sides.
so at least in Wayne County, it doesn't look like, I mean, I'm assuming it's about the same number of Democrats that were in 2016, about 30,000. A lot didn't even vote.
Yeah, it's a question, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, a lot didn't even vote.
about 14,000. That hadn't voted up until Sunday.
But I think there's a lot more Democrats voted this time than 21,000.
Well, some of those are in the R column as well, because they couldn't stand the candidate for president.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's some Democrats that, like old people, that's like in their 80s, that, you know, when they first registered way back, they just registered Democrat, because there wasn't no Republican Party prior to the 80s. I mean, not to speak of. Not to speak of.
I think that's all finally kind of aligning as it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, back in the 70s, there weren't enough Republicans in North Carolina.
Not again.
There weren't enough North Carolina. There weren't enough Republicans in North Carolina to fill up a football stadium.
Somebody cussing out there?
You know, this is Nicholas's first rodeo too, as the assistant
Yeah.
executive director. So he's trying to put his fingerprints on the damn thing too.
Yeah, they're both doing a great job.
got to be at the Wayne County Board of Elections to a problem. I can't still just call the whole hour. And, so she was like, okay. I was trying not to get on it at all, but, you know, a couple of days she wanted me to bring a light to the other people that were on the call. And so, all I was concerned about, you know, everybody talking about elections. I said, let me tell you something. I don't care who wins tomorrow, the same stuff is being asked of us today, it's gonna be asked of us tomorrow, regardless of who won the election. So you better be prepared to do your job. So, it ain't gonna make not one hill mean. I said,
Nope.
I said, no, what I'm concerned about is cause now the state has put down strict rules as to who can go into state facilities and who cannot. And so now it's like, if we don't have to go into the office, we're not going. And so at the earliest, I see us going back sometime June 2021. And that's fine with me, because I have not missed nothing on Highway 70. Going to Raleigh, North Carolina every day.
Yeah, oh, I bet.
Yeah, I have not missed a thing.
Yeah, I bet.
I told somebody the other day, they said, well, when you going back to Raleigh? I said, I got two choices. One, turn in my equipment, or shopping. Those we want to be 2 weeks away, and I'll go back to Raleigh. That's what my plan is.
Well, our house that we bought is Carol's grandparents' old home place. Her cousin was the one that had bought it from the family and fixed it back up in 2004. But they moved down here and they were still working up in Cary. And they were driving back and forth every day to Cary. Well, so they completed the house by 2004 and moved in. By 2005, they were trying to sell it
Yeah,
because of the commute.
I'm telling you now.
We bought it in 2006, but they had it for sale in 2005
Yeah.
because of that commute. That just turned out to be way more than what they thought.
Where were they driving from?
From Grantham,
Okay.
now they shoot down to 40,
We're in business now.
Yeah, that's a heck of a drive.
hit to Cary. Old Bill Belichick is not a happy camper.
Spring Creek, that middle school look like they could be defective to them, right?
Who won the
But you
game
know,
last night?
Cam Newton, I was watching them play the other
You
night.
don't look well.
He don't look like himself. I wonder if he's, because, I mean, at Carolina, he always looked like he's having a good time, felt free to do what he, but I don't know if he's kind of unnerved a little bit by Bill Belichick or what, but he looks like he's just kind of,
I don't think so. He doesn't look well physically.
yeah.
He looks like he's still sick, if you ask me. You know,
His shoulder-
the narrowing of his face. His face used to be a lot fuller. He just looks like he don't look healthy.
He just don't look like himself.
Yeah. I think so from the COVID thing. He just does not look like he is strong as he's shown in the past that he's capable of being.
And of course, I think, did Tampa Bay win last night?
Yeah, they came back one by 25.
Tom Brady's taking them, well, they had a good team, to start with.
Who'd they play?
The Giants, 25-23.
Giants last night. It
Yeah.
was pretty close when I tuned in before I went to bed.
The Giants was in the lead up until the end of the third,
Yeah.
and then they came back, and then they scored again, and then
The last thing I saw was the Giants that went going up by a field goal.
mm-hmm.
Just about a few minutes left. I think the Panthers gonna make a run here at the end.
I hope so.
Hope they run the right way.
Well, we got a young defense, put all our.
So,
draft
Mr.
picks-
Executive Director, Assistant, we,
I'll take Adam for Kyle.
yeah, yeah.
Assistant to the assistant.
There you go. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, exactly right. Excuse me, what's your title? I'm the assistant to the assistant, executive.
Pretty much whatever I need to be.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You got it all loaded up now? Miss, she got it, okay.
Give us the grand total.
Yeah, we were just talking about the numbers from 2016. I looked it up. In 2016, we had a total of 49,824 for Wayne County.
I was a little more than that.
Well, anyway, that's what I'm showing on the internet. Of course, the internet's true, always true, you know.
That could have been just the presidential race. You think that?
That's what I was looking at, presidential race.
Yeah, that's, I think total it was like 51 or something.
50,951.
50,000,
51, so basically 51,000.
okay, well, this was just a presidential. This is
Oh,
just-
okay.
So, yeah, that was probably,
Yeah, there's a lot of blank ballots,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah, you're
Or
right.
they skipped a race.
Yeah, they just didn't want to vote for president. Hey, as I told somebody, if you don't vote, that's a choice.
That's right.
You know, you can vote for one, the other, or neither one. That's a choice.
I always say if you didn't vote, don't complain.
Well, that's another thing. But I told this person, I think, you know, that, well, I told him, we're both Christians, I just said, look, God has put these two people here without solving the will. We have two people. I think we vote for one of them. But I said, I understand if you prayerfully decide not to vote, that's your
Nicholas.
choice. You can't vote for
You told the people.
But then
Dang.
I said, there's a whole lot of other people on here
You just texted.
that, you know,
Oh, that's right.
will vote.
That's what it was. He watching.
I am pleased to say
We good, Dave.
voted, but I don't know how to vote.
Right.
I don't want to.
what was the vote?
There's no way they capture the vote.
DB, we gonna have to get us a scotch later.
I'm going by Aunt Betty's Cafe.
That's right. The former ED heard what I said. He texted me. No. Well, y'all packing up the machines like we ain't gonna use them no more. Not this cycle, anyway.
Because all this information we have here, it's already been electronically transferred to the state.
Sir?
The information we have here, has it already been transferred to the state?
Not to the state, not yet.
That's what we do after the polls close, right?
Yeah, we'll do this in a little while once we're done here.
Oh, okay.
They won't go live.
We won't.
Yeah,
So
they'll just check Wayne County off the list that we have reported.
okay. So the state decides when it goes live.
Yeah. And they literally
Which is a
push
great
it.
thing.
Yeah, they push a button.
Okay.
I don't want to be responsible.
Yeah. See,
button.
see, I used to stay here with the former executive director, and he showed me how that, how they do that. So
I wonder if Karen gets to push the button.
yeah, I doubt it. She probably somewhere sitting around there with like,
Please, work.
yeah, please don't. I don't want any calls from anybody. Not even Sydney Lowe.
Isn't it love?
Derek Wittenberg, none of them. None of the cardiac pack. I don't think she's ever made a reference about anything that she did not use anything about Wolfpack in there.
She loves her wolf.
She love them now, I'm telling you. The executive director. Yeah, Briston.
I mean, I went to state. I didn't graduate from there, but I'm like you. I moved around a lot and was gone a long time.
Yeah.
So I come back and kids were like, "Which college you like?" I said, I like them all. You know. Which one?
That's right.
Duke,
You
Carolina?
you got to chair. You got
Or,
to choose.
UNC or East Carolina? Well, I like in NCAA's, whichever, team is going the farthest, I'm gonna
No,
no,
they
Mr.
don't.
Moore, you can't do it. You gotta pick.
That's right.
I go Carolina State and Duke in that order. I don't care who they're playing or what they're doing. You can take me out and hang me if you want to. But Carolina State and Duke is my preference.
Whichever team we send on, if they make it to the Final Four,
Man, I'm pulling for that
if it's
team.
one of the teams from North Carolina, I'm
Bet.
cheering for it.
That's right.
That's correct.
All right, I'm gonna give you, the abstract. And then just a reminder
No talking.
that you can't say this out loud, it's confidential until
Yep.
tonight.
And the abstract, Annie, that is the combination of absentee and early vote? or
Correct.
just- Okay.
All absentee, all early voting goes on this abstract, compiled from our results there.
Okay.
And then we send the abstract to the state board, via private server, this afternoon. And they have that to compare with what we're gonna report electronically.
Gotcha.
System of checks and balances.
You're not going home, are you? Okay.
I'll be here waiting until it's
No,
done tonight.
Till it's over.
So basically, I just transcribed what's at the very bottom there of the total. So each,
The
so,
bottom of this one.
no.
No, the abstract.
Oh, very bottom here.
Yeah, so like, it's a
Right,
block
right,
style,
right.
okay, and then the total's at the bottom.
We're gonna get a copy of that, Annie?
No,
Can't take a copy of it?
No, she's just letting us look at it.
Yeah, to do the abstract.
Do we all sign it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Once they're, on our website,
You can do what you want to with it. Use your paper, Jimmy.
Once Karen pushes the belt,
Yeah.
button tonight, or whoever she designates to do it. Or maybe the board member, who knows, maybe it's the state board getting head person.
probably the IT.
Yeah. They're somewhere in downtown Raleigh somewhere. congregating, waiting by the bat phone for somebody to call.
Pick up the bat phone. Nicholas.
You know, in
This is us.
2016,
Oh,
about 60% of all the hits that came on our website, 60% of them were from the Ukraine.
I remember that.
Y'all got the same thing over there?
Yeah, I can pass this one.
Yeah, that way, since we got more than
Just for
one.
reference.
Yeah.
Speed things up a little.
Yeah, I ain't showing that.
I keep checking the news on the phone, there ain't nothing bad on there. That's good.
The news is good.
The news is good.
I say, doesn't matter. You got one coming this way.
Yeah, I got one. Mm-hmm.
We can write it down.
It's just for your knowledge only. You can't tell anyone.
I ain't lost nothing.
No. Or, it's just about, okay, it still says PC in there, and they don't return their affidavit, so they go,
They can go.
they go versus denied, right? Making sure, yep.
Our state executive director made a great point the other day in one of our webinars. That the last time we voted in the pandemic, women didn't have the right to vote. And now, in this pandemic, not only are women leading the county boards of elections, but they're leading the state boards. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Not to mention there's more women voting than men.
Not to mention that.
Mention that at all.
Or candidates, it's true.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
our row offices, almost all, I think, have a female.
So,
Like in DC and others.
sometimes we need to put in perspective how much things have changed, hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
So, I have a question with respect to write-in votes. You may have addressed that already, I just didn't hear it. Is that, so that will be listed separately, or?
So tonight, when the results go, the unofficial results are available, it'll say write-in miscellaneous.
Mhm.
And it will compile all the write-ins.
No, and I understand that
Yeah.
it won't identify any particular thing. I get that. I'm just saying that I didn't see the actual,
Yeah, it's not on the absentee
Gotcha.
abstract, yeah.
gotcha.
As far as, somebody wanting like a recount or anything, how close does it have to be for that kind of thing to happen?
100%.
At 0.5%,
Half a percent.
right, in order for it to be automatic.
Automatic, okay. What about for a candidate to ask for a recount?
I think it's 1%, but I'm not absolutely sure.
1%. If you, my only tip on that, if you ask, if it's not automatic and you ask for the recount, I personally think the person who asked for the recount should pay for the recount.
Well, there has to be like some grounds for it. It
Yeah.
can't just be because you lost. So, 'cause somebody is gonna lose in all of these contests, right, except for the, what, county commissioner?
All of them.
1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. So, it's just not an automatic thing that we do.
And as many as I've done, I've never seen the results.
And then we'll, the sample audit count, we'll get that, they will, randomly select our contests and our, precincts. And that will happen tomorrow evening. So then we'll know which contests, it's typically, one of them will be the presidential contest, and then one other contest that will randomly, hand-to-eye audit. We haven't quite scheduled that yet because we're not quite sure with provisionals and everything really until tomorrow morning, where we see where we are with provisionals. And then we have to schedule for, the write-ins to be counted. And then we have to do the hand-to-eye count. And all of that has to be done according to certain timelines. So we haven't scheduled anything quite yet, because we need to see where we're at tomorrow morning with reconciliation and things like that.
I thought the audit was determined by the state.
It is, they're gonna select the contest and the precincts too, and then notify us tomorrow evening
What we do.
of the selection. Yep. And we don't get to deviate from that, so if you think that your contest should get a sample audit, that's not part of this process either. It's randomly selected by the state board. Normal reconciliation, and it takes quite a while in a big election, and there's 3 people to do it, so. We'll do everything that we need to do first, according to their timeline, and that's really provisionals. That has to get done immediately. And we'll go from there. Because Because we only have till next Thursday to get it all done.
Basically Wednesday night.
Okay, on this abstract, it doesn't have, write-in?
No.
No, okay. Okay.
God bless you.
Getting signed.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out.
They like to put the email number on the
Mm-hmm. Is that, she texted you too?
Yeah.
I know, we need to get back over there.
I keep forgetting stuff, you know?
You're good if you want to go back out there to help.
Well,
Yeah. I'll clean up in here.
Are you signing the one we're supposed to sign?
No, we should
I
have,
think so, yeah.
that's what you brought back from.
Oh, Rick is.
All right, here's the official. Thank you, sir.
Oh, the 4 o'clock update, I guess.
4:30.
The 4 o'clock is 5,885. We'll get you a printout on your way out.
Okay. So 5,000, okay.
5885.
58.85, so another 1,300 in 2 hours.
I don't think we're gonna hit 10.
I don't think TV.
3 hours.
We got 3 more hours to go, yeah.
That's all we got if we all signed.
Might hit about 7,
You need this back.
might be around 7 to 8.
8,000, that would, yeah.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. Sign.
Okey-dokey.
Good working with y'all.
We can add the 5885.
Yeah, we can grab you a printout so you can
Okay.
have it individualized by precinct and on our way out.
Well, I can get that later. I gotta get home.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, that's all I have for this meeting.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we adjourn.
I second. All right. I thought it'd come back.
I don't have the, I don't know.
You coming back? Am I coming back?
I am.
I'm going to get a
You
bottle
coming
of
back?
Jameson, I'm going.
You coming back? All right. Yeah, I got you now.